Good evening and welcome to the Town of Sandwich Finance Committee meeting for, what is today? October 28th, 2025. Tonight's meeting is being aired on Sandwich Community Television and will be available for replay. As a note, Bill Jennings, the town's finance director, is joining us remotely this evening. It's 6 p.m. and I am calling our meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, and as a reminder to those of us here as committee members, let's remember to turn on our microphones, speak clearly into it so those at home and those with us in the auditorium can hear us well. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Does anyone with us tonight wish to make a public comment as we get underway? Jean. And if you could state your name and address and just Bob's going to let you use his microphone. Comments are limited to 5 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gene Perini, 6 Piccadilly Road, Sandwich, Massachusetts. First, I would like to thank Sandwich Enterprise writer Candy Thompson for her recent article titled Money for Nothing, where she reports the town spent roughly $460,000 for architectural plans and redesigns for the current DPW fire station. That is an incredible amount of money for planning a project that may not even make it to town meeting or may be significantly revised. And so it's likely that the design cost may continue to increase. Many of us feel that this project is way too expensive for Sandwich, and the select board should explore alternatives. The select board should also hold a public forum for town residents to attend and ask questions about the project. Also, there is another subject that I would like to discuss, and it has to do with state, federal, and other grants awarded to Sandwich. I would like to see more financial reporting on these grants and awards, which should be submitted to the Finance Committee and also made available on the town's website. For example, the fiscal year 2024 budget that was approved at town meeting was roughly $97.9 million in revenue and expenditures. However, the annual report for 2024 shows total revenue of $127 million. So what is the difference? According to the annual report, the town of Sandwich showed additional revenue of $1 million in state and federal grants and $3 million in state and federal grants for the schools. So what are those grants? How much of those grants have been expended? What is the remaining balance? Another example, according to the Sandwich Enterprise, was the $64,000 digital literacy grant that was awarded by the Massachusetts Broadband Institute in late 2024. The purpose of that grant was to increase digital literacy to the population of Sandwich by providing courses at the public library and Center for Active Living. So once again, has that money been received? What is the remaining balance? What happens when the money is fully expended? In June 2025, State Senator Dylan Fernandez announced a $30,000 grant to the town of Sandwich through the Cape Cod Foundation. Again, what is that for? What will it be used for? And has it been received? And do you receive any reporting on all this information? And according to the MassGov website, as you probably all know, the town of Sandwich was awarded roughly $470,000 in opioid settlement funds to date. That is the amount that I saw. It could be different. The town of Sandwich used some of those proceeds to hire a social worker in the police department. So was any of that settlement money used for any other purpose? What is the balance in that account now? When will the money run out? And what will happen when the money runs out? Does that social worker stay on the job after the money runs out? What is the plan? So it's just a case where we would like to see more financial data provided to the Finance Committee and on the website detailing these grants and awards, including balances. So that's basically all I have to say, and hope that you all consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perini. Any other public comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes in our agenda packet tonight. They are from July 15th, August 19th, and September 2nd. Does anyone have any corrections, additions, or other edits to any of those minutes? Seeing none, could I have a motion for the July 15th minutes?
Motion?
Motion and second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the July 15th minutes?
Aye.
Unanimous. Could I have a motion for the August 19th minutes?
Motion?
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous for the August 19th minutes. And could I have a motion for the September 2nd minutes?
Motion?
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. On correspondence, statements, and announcements. Thanks again to Jeff Picard, our newest Finance Committee member, for sending along the updated Finance Committee handbook that he received at a recent Association of Town Finance Committees meeting he attended. Hopefully everyone received the email I sent last week with the handbook included. If you haven't, just let me know and I'll get it to you. And if anyone wants a printed copy of that, Bud is happy to get you a copy of that, so just let Bud know if you want a printed copy. Does anyone else on the committee have anything else for this evening? Seeing none on that, let's move on to the town manager's report. Bud, could you provide us with an update on what's moving along with things this year and a preview of maybe 2027?
Sure. So almost all of our state reports have gone in for the close of fiscal year 25. So we're, in the first quarter of fiscal year 2026. All the books closed positively. We sent in the backup documentation for our free cash certification, and the state let us know that they're a little bit delayed issuing those, so we haven't gotten that yet. But I would think, hopefully by Thanksgiving, we'll get those numbers, and we really don't look at those until we start focusing on the FY27 budget. The rough budget cycle that you're all familiar with is going to be similar for the upcoming year. We plan to have a tri-board meeting with the school committee, finance committee, select board the first week in December, which I think is December 4th. Bill and I, especially Bill, not me, have been working on the budget documents for next fiscal year. We hope to get draft budget forms out to all departments on the town side early next week, which is, I think, the earliest we've ever gotten them out. The numbers so far are looking really good for next year. Operating budget-wise, don't see any major issues whatsoever. But we'll be working with the department heads on those, finalizing the budget presentation, and then making that to the select board at the end of January and at your meeting, the first one in February. I know it's fair to say we haven't heard a thing from the state about state aid. Normally that isn't finalized till well after we voted at town meeting, so we haven't heard anything about next fiscal year. I think the one line item that every community probably in the country, not just Massachusetts, is looking at is, health insurance costs based on what we're seeing and hearing. So that will be interesting. If you remember last year, we didn't get that final number until late February, early March. It's probably going to be something similar, but we're going to try to be safe and, budget a significant increase just to try to protect ourselves and making sure that we, have enough set aside as we talk about the budget. And I know we'll be talking about that, once we get into the budget presentation and review process. But in general, things are, going well. Last year closed really well, and so we're just anxious to move forward and get the next budget ready.
Nancy, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, thanks. Any news on the charter?
Yeah, that's
revisions?
the legislature has been reviewing those for quite a bit now. The town clerk article, there was one version that was looked at in the House, a slightly different one in the Senate. So the select board voted some language that it supported to try to get that moving again in the Senate, and that was sent up, I think, about 2 weeks ago. I actually have a meeting later this week with the attorney for the Senate who's reviewing that. And then the larger charter article, I think the same individual is working on the language for that. But, we've provided that for quite a while, and it's just really slow, and it's not atypical from what we're hearing. Other towns are experiencing the same things on special legislation. It's just taken longer than usual. I would say even more important than the charter in the short and long term is the wastewater legislation that town meeting voted, I think, in November of 2024. No, might be 22, but I think it was 2022. That's looks like it's just totally not being supported. So I can assure you we try to nudge things along, but we don't get very far.
Any other questions? Jim?
Is there an update on any of the sale of the buildings in town, specifically the annex?
Yeah, we issued another RFP for that sale. We got 4 proposals. 1 withdrew. 1 was not responsive, so we had to kick it out. So 2 are being considered. There's actually an executive session item on the select board meeting Thursday night just to talk a little bit about the 2 proposals we did get and, trying to review what issues would need to be addressed as part of that sale, not just the end use of the property, but I think a lot of people are aware that there's parking there, there's egress onto different roads, so that a lot of that has to be resolved. But progress, yes, but finalized, no. Yep.
Any other questions on the town manager update? Okay, our main reason for convening this evening is to consider a recommendation for one of the articles, Article number 1, that is in the warrant for the special town meeting coming up on November 17th. To review, Our annual town meeting is in May, and then the state budget is not finalized at that time, much as Bud just mentioned. Due to this, from time to time, we must take an additional vote to align the town budget with the final state budget, which was voted on by the legislature. That's the case this year, since the state increased the Chapter 70 funds awarded to Sandwich schools by roughly $325,000 in their final budget vote during the summer from their original springtime projections. The one financial article at the special town meeting will be to see if the town will accept this extra $325,000 for the schools. And in anticipation of this being on our agenda, Bud reminded me that the town meeting can approve funding for the school budget, but cannot, by state law, tell the school department how to spend it. Just as a reminder, last year, when we appropriated additional Chapter 70 funds, we stated it was to be used for building repairs and maintenance. In the end, the schools has 100% discretion on how to spend it once it's in their budget. In discussion with Dr. Marishak and his staff, but it's been advised that the school plans to spend the additional fiscal 26 Chapter 70 funds that we're considering this evening, to award those funds for building repairs and maintenance. And in the explanation section of the warrant articles, it says, quote, "It focuses these funds on building repairs and maintenance," end quote. Dr. Marishak is here with us this evening, as is Michael Ryan, our new school administration's Director of Facilities Management. And I'm wondering if you gentlemen just could come forward for a second and just give us some insight on how things are going and really about this Chapter 70 money and how you envision it being used.
Good evening, everybody. Essentially, we have one big ticket item for this additional Chapter 70 funding. Not exactly the most exciting or exhilarating project, but vitally necessary. We learned in the spring 2 of our 3 boilers at Sandwich Middle High School have failed. So the overwhelming majority of this money is to replace and repair what we have in place. So maybe Michael can give some insight on things like the age of the boilers, what was noticed, and the plan in place to rectify the boiler failure.
Yeah, so the boilers failed just from natural age, right? They're 25 or 28 years old. They're past their useful life. Boiler gas is very acidic, and just the internal components of the boiler had rotted out. So 2 of them had failed this spring. One of them is very much on its last legs, and we've been actively trying to replace them this summer and into the fall.
So essentially, it's 2 of the 3 that are in there.
Yeah, the last one is operational, and that's what we're using right now to continue to heat the school. But until we get the new ones up and running, we're going to be, operating on just that one boiler.
And the replacement ones will be an upgrade, or?
Yeah, so they're a like-in-kind replacement, but they're going to be much more energy efficient. The new burners are going to save about 5 to 7% on annual utility costs, and they should be. We can control them remotely, so if we have any issues like from there's a storm, we can be able to increase the heat. Very, very efficient.
Thank you. Any questions? Bob?
Just a couple. Can you remind me, and forgive me for not remembering, but I thought we had a plan for the schools that included heating and cooling and air circulation, and I thought we had set aside a significant amount of capital specifically to address those needs. Am I misremembering?
You are. Actually, the spring 22 debt exclusion was for projects at Oak Ridge and Forestdale, not the middle high school.
Okay, thanks.
Nancy?
Jackie. Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought he was looking at me and said Nancy. Go, Nancy.
I'm just wondering, what is the cost of these, and is it, will it use up all the money, or do you need to put more into it, or where does it stand?
So the new boilers are about 275,000 for the 2 boilers, and then repairs to the third one brings up to about 300.
Jackie?
Yeah, that was my question as well. And so are you confident in the 275 for the new and the repairs? Is there any chance that that price is going to go up by the time you actually replace them?
No, I don't think that, I know the cost is not going to go up, right? So we have a proposal that's, we're moving forward with the vendor, so we can have them in before the heating season, which we're very quickly approaching.
So when are the new ones expected in?
So they've been actively putting them in this fall, and they'll be up and running by Friday.
By Friday. Thank you.
Bob?
Okay, so just 2 more questions, I guess. So if you didn't get this money, how were you paying for the boilers?
I think we'd be in a place where we'd be using the funds that are still unexpended from the spring 22 debt exclusion.
So their money's available?
Correct.
Okay.
However, recall from my presentation from the summertime and then also earlier during the FY26 budget cycle, because of inflation and also some underestimation, not all of the projects that were originally envisioned in spring of 22 have been completed.
That's a great segue, thank you.
Yeah.
So we very recently, as a committee, recommended making free cash available to hire consultants to create, I'm going to call them maintenance plans, maybe they're not maintenance plans, but to do an...
Facilities condition assessment.
Yes. Could you let me and the committee know where that project is?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, on behalf of the school committee, myself, and our entire district, I want to thank all of you personally and collectively for granting that. We have contracted with Habib and Associates out of Norwell. They're an architectural firm that does this type of work. They have begun the work in earnest. As a matter of fact, last week, they spent a couple days with Michael and his staff starting at Sandwich Middle High School. They will, over the next 2 to 3 weeks, do the same on-site work at both Forestdale and Oak Ridge. And as they have put in their original proposal, they should have a facility condition assessment report off to us by the close of this calendar year.
Jeff, go ahead.
There we go. Thank you. Just one question. If I heard correctly, when you were given the overview at the beginning or the introduction, I'd like to hear from the school. Last year, you got Chapter 70 money, additional Chapter 70 money. We voted it in. You indicated how you were going to use it, but we have no authority over how you use it. So could you tell the committee today how you did end up using the money that we approved last year?
Certainly.
Thank you.
The district, and very much driven by the school committee, is deeply committed into investing funds into longstanding facility upgrades of things that desperately need repair or upgrades, or also safety, school safety considerations. So overwhelmingly, those additional funds were used for upgrades of classroom locks, because there was a lot of concerns about student and staff safety, particularly starting at our 2 elementary schools. So within the last 18 months or so, all of the locks, both at Forestdale and Oak Ridge, have been changed.
Nancy?
Um,
So it is, I would say, approximately 35 to 40% complete. Overwhelmingly, the carpet has been replaced with vinyl tile flooring instead, which is just a lot healthier for everybody involved. I believe we have an additional something like 12 classrooms that are slated to be replaced along with the Forestdale Library during the school vacations this year.
How much money is left from that 2022 vote that we gave? I mean, you said you were going to use that leftover, or what's not spent for the boilers if you didn't get this money. How much is left in that account?
Happy to share the spreadsheet with you and the committee. Please don't hold me to this, but
About
a number in the corner of my brain is saying 2.3 million.
And what are your plans for that?
One of the projects that we have committed to is also replacing the boilers at Forestdale as well.
Okay. Thought I had another one. So I know there's, well, we're going to talk about that.
You good? Anything else? Bob?
I would just want to reiterate, I think certainly my and maybe this committee's collective interest in the independent assessment of the school facilities and the prioritization of projects. And I think it would be really interesting for this committee to continue to receive from you and from the schools a detailed report of conditions, of projects and spends and sort of progress being made. I think that would be really helpful for us to see and be able to better understand both the need and what's being accomplished.
Happy to do it.
Great, thank you.
My recollection is that report should be available as we begin the budget planning cycle.
That's the game plan, particularly as things ramp up in January.
Yeah, so, yeah, so that would be good as part of an update report.
Absolutely.
We'll invite you in for sure. Thank you.
So does that mean we won't see it until?
Well, hopefully we
Here?
might see it as a pre-read or some summary of it.
Yeah, as soon as we get it in and it's released to the school committee, happy to release it here as well.
Thank you.
Anything else from Michael or Dr. Marushek? Thank you both very
you
much
very
for
much.
being with us this evening. Any other questions or discussions regarding the allocation of or the acceptance of the additional $325,000? Seeing none there, could I have a motion to recommend for Article 1 on the warrant?
A motion.
Crystal motions. Any Matt seconds. Any further discussion on that? Jeff?
Do we know what the wording will be before we vote it?
Sure, yeah. The wording is in the warrant, which we have in front of us, but I will also read it. Article 1 is to see if the town will vote to amend the vote taken under Article 2 of the May 5th, 2025 annual town meeting for the fiscal year 26 school department budget, account number 300, by raising and appropriating the additional sum of $324,300 or any other amount for building repair, maintenance, and improvement purposes, or take any action relative thereto.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor of recommending? Unanimous on that. Thank you very much. That takes care of our main purpose of gathering this evening. Under old business, does anyone have any old business? I do not. Anything for new business? Nancy, I'm sorry.
I don't know if it's old or new, but wasn't there a 75,000?
No, that was earlier in the discussions, and that was taken off.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's only one financial related article in the warrant. Anything for new business? Seeing none there. We always give a second opportunity for public comment. Anyone with us this evening wish to make a public comment at this stage? Seeing none there, we'll move on to closing remarks. Thank you all for joining us this evening. The Finance Committee does not have another meeting scheduled at this time, but given the budget planning is underway, as Bud talked about, we should anticipate a joint planning meeting with the Board of Selectmen and School Committee in early December, moving into the budget planning season early in the year, with our first meeting in a series, and we're expected that the first meeting will be on Tuesday, February 3rd. And then we'll work it through a cycle of kind of weekly meetings with time off for school vacations and anything else that may come up. I've suggested to Bill and Bud that it would be good to have Marie Buckner, who heads up the town's Human Resource Department, to join us as one of the folks we have a conversation with for fiscal 2027 planning. If any of our Finance Committee members, if you have a suggestion on who you would like to see join us as well, please let me or Bill know over the next week so we can include them in the schedule as we continue to develop that plan. We'll keep you posted as to the schedule and when it gets firmed up. And as a reminder that our meetings do move along well when questions are submitted to the chair and Bill ahead of each department joining us on a particular evening, so we'll continue with that practice going forward as well. Doesn't mean no questions ad hoc, but it's always helpful to keep the meeting moving as well. So we'll do that. Anyone else for closing remarks?
Add
Crystal.
one thing. So with the meetings next year, I also proposed for police, fire, and DPW to do a joint meeting. We did that last year, and I think it worked well. So that was one that I posed through the bill for next year.
Very good. Anything else? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by Crystal. Second? Second by Nancy. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Bud. Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.